Hi, this is Jana Willey. I'm the author of the Disney Princess Crochet Pattern Book, and today I'm going to show you how to sew together all the pieces to make the Cinderella doll. And in my previous videos, I showed you how to make the head, the arms, the bodice with the flounces, the skirt, and the hair. And the last piece, which I did not show you yet, was the headband. And here's the headband. It's simply a chain of 25, this is 25 chains, and in periwinkle yarn. So go ahead and make that with your 25 chains. Pretty easy. And so now let's get started. We're going to do some sewing. Things I need are large-headed pins. I like these pins with the big hearts on them. Also, I've got my yarn needle. This yarn needle is not the same as in the kit. The kit yarn needle has a sharp end, and it's sufficient for doing your sewing. But I really like this particular brand. This is a Clover Chibi bent tip needle, and it's a blunt needle, and it's very nice for amigurumi because it pivots when you're going down into a stitch, and it's easy to kind of bend it, and it pops right back up through just right where you want it. And because it's a blunt tip instead of a sharp tip, it doesn't pierce through the stitches. It goes between stitches, catches them nicely. So I highly recommend that one. And it comes in two different sizes. This is the bigger one, and it comes in a smaller one for doing thinner yarn. Okay, so let's grab the head and the hair. So the hair, if you like, you can put a little bit of stuffing up into those front bangs. Now it's kind of gappy, so you don't want to put a lot of stuffing. Just enough to give it a little body. This one's got stuffing in it. So just like the gals in the movie Hairspray who have the ratted up teased hair, we're gonna put a little stuffing so it looks a little bit teased. So just a little bit. And then we're gonna pin it to the head. And we're gonna leave this long tail for sewing. Okay, so we want to center that bump over the eyes and make sure your little ear bumps are symmetrical, so they're in the right place between the eyes. Okay. And don't pull the hairline down, because you don't want the hair to be kind of spread out. You kind of want to push it back a little, so that it'll give that kind of a high profile. All right, now we're going to grab our pins. And I'm going to pin around the edge with about 4 pins. And here's our tail. Let's see, make sure we got that ready to go. All right, I'm going to grab my needle. And leave about 6 inches of overlap there. Okay, so let's go across this forehead first, and that's going to really make or break the look of the doll. So you want to have a nice discreet stitch line. That's not gonna, you don't want to whip stitch it on where you've got, kind of a Frankenstein stitching look on her. So we'll go in, and I'm going to, if you can see this finished one, I've done it so that the V's are kind of hidden. You can see like the front loops, but not the back loops of that row. And if you pull it way back, you can see the stitching there underneath. Okay. So it's a little nerve-wracking for me to be stitching in front of everybody on video because, you know, don't want to mess it up. And then you're going to pull your pins out as you go. So I'm going through the front loops, kind of under the front loops, and then through the post, and then back through the head. So again, I'm catching the front loop, or I'm sorry, I'm going through the under the loops. And then I'm going around the post. If you've done back post single crochet, you'll be familiar with the posts part of the stitch. How's that looking? Pretty smooth. You can't see the stitching and that last round is hiding those back loops. All right, let's come up through there. And you don't have to catch every stitch, you know, with the hair. Every other is fine because it's, you know, big enough that it'll stay on. So how's that looking? Pretty good. And of course this is kind of a slow process because I think all crocheters can agree that sewing and weaving in ends is the least fun part of making amigurumi. Okay, so it's a little easier now that I'm no longer on the forehead. I can be a little more quick with my stitching. So now I'm just going. I'm just catching the under the posts and through the head, and then coming a couple stitches up underneath the loops there. Again, this bent tip is super nice for, I can just go in, pivot, and kind of like a little shovel, dig through those stitches. And I want to make sure I'm catching the stuff underneath, that I'm not just catching a tiny, like if I'm only catching like say a thread or even just like a ply, sometimes that happens. It's best if you can actually get underneath that stitch and really anchor it onto the head. And I'll take these pins out. This one's poking me, so it goes out. Okay, and make sure you kind of pull those ear bits down, so okay, we're on the home stretch. We've only got like 2 or 3 more stitches to do. right, so now we come back around to where we started. We're gonna overlap just a stitch or two to anchor it in, like, I mean, go past where we started a little bit. Then we're just simply gonna, if you like, you can anchor the top part of the back, but you really don't need to. It's not going anywhere. Maybe I'll, you know what, maybe I'll take a stitch or two along right before the triple crochet to kind of really emphasize the bangs there. There we go. Oh, let's see, that was a little bit tight. Let me pull that out. Not quite so tight. There we go. Now we've got a little bit of a tail, so we can just simply go in and emerge a couple inches away in the yellow. And we're going to just kind of pull it a little bit taut and snip it close to the work. Make sure you don't cut the crochet work. That would be heartbreaking. And then just kind of blend in that end. Okay. So there's our hair on the head. And there's her little buns in the back. All right, so what comes next? So next we want to do the headband. All right, so here's our headband. Now there is a right side and a wrong side. You'll see that the chain with the V's, that's the right side. And here you'll see like a line of bumps, that's the wrong side. I like to have the right side up. So I'm going to pin that with this first chain on that little ear bump part. And then go over the center. And then come down to here. Okay. So if you like that, if you like where it's at, you can start sewing it. We're going to take this long tail and our needle and just anchor it into go through the hair and the head like so. So, and you want this to be hidden because you don't want blue stitches on her face, right? So we're just gonna come back up through. There we go. See, now you can't see the blue stitch. All right, take that pin out. So that's secured right there. Now I'm going to go along and just do like every 2 or 3 stitches, just catch this headband and kind of blend in my yarn with the chain, and then come up 2 or 3 stitches later and catch the hair. And make sure it stays kind of nice and straight. It doesn't get zigzaggy as you go. The pins will help with that. And don't pull it super tight. Just snug. You know, if I pull it tight, it's gonna gather it, right? It's gonna pucker it. So catch it, come through. that's how it's looking, and we're almost to the end. Let's just jump over here to the last part. Okay, now we're gonna secure that. Come back a little bit right there. And then loop around again. And this time we'll go through the bottom. So, and that way the end you won't see it at all because the neck won't show there. Okay, so I'm gonna trim that extra bit. Okay, so now we've got our headband. Oh, but you know what? We've got the beginning tail and we need to weave that in or hide that. So we're gonna grab that and bring it through the bottom of the head, just like the other side. Give that a little tug to kind of tuck the knot in. Give it a snip. Okay. Okay, this is head with headband and hair. Next, what is next? I think we're doing the bodice. Let's check. Yeah, we're going to pin the bodice to the top of the skirt now. So here's the skirt and here's our bodice. We're going to, and it's got this light blue tail left over from the flounce. We're going to whip stitch row 4 of the bodice to the skirt with 10 or 12 stitches, leaving the flounces sticking out. Okay, so you'll see from our previous work that we have these remaining back loops of this round, and that's what we're going to use too. So these two together. All right, so if you've used the invisible fasten off, it should be pretty subtle where this transition is, but if you want to make sure to leave it in back, you can do that. And look for your, you also want to, there's a bit of a jog here with your color switching. And make sure that's in back too. So here's the back, the last stitch of my skirt, and here's the color switch there. I'm going to put those, that's going to be both in the back. And I'm going to put this right on top of the skirt. And pin that in place. You might hear my little dog scratching at my door. He was curious. He likes to know what I'm doing at all times. He wants to be in on the fun. Okay. All right, so you want to have like a little, there's a little bit of blue here in the back. And then there's going to be a little bit of blue in the front. You're going to bring that and tuck it and to hide that piece of yarn there. Okay. So, you know what? I'm wondering if I've got the right color yarn, actually. Let me check my... It says light blue yarn. Okay. So... Okay. So I'm just, we're just going to catch the skirt underneath and come up through. Catch the skirt again. If I need to, let's see, I didn't quite catch it, so I want to come under here, make sure I catch it. That's what's frustrating. If you think you're catching it and then you come, then you finish and then you go back and you look and you say, oh, I missed. It didn't catch it and it's not holding on. So, and for this one, I'm actually doing a kind of a back stitch, just coming back a little bit and then catching and coming up. I'm just going around the waist of this bodice here. And then I'm going to back stitch again and then catch underneath. This time I'm going to, let's see, I want to pull this loop down. And go in the same hole again. Okay. And this will be the center front right here, between the flounces, okay? Let's get rid of those pins. A little bit of a back stitch, catch the skirt. Okay, I'm going to come underneath, make sure I'm catching that skirt, and come back up. Almost finished with this little bit. Okay, let's catch that remaining loop there and bring that down in. Okay. Okay, so here's the flounces. As you can see, they're still kind of flappy, like little wings. And I've got the bodice sewn on there. Now, I did mention in my previous video that when I was talking about the head and the body, that in hindsight, you know, now that I'm a little older and wiser, I could have made the pattern so that the head, the bodice, and the skirt would be one piece, so that you wouldn't have to sew these together, and that would simplify things, and then you could sew on do the flounces later. So if you are a more advanced crocheter, you can modify the pattern to make this one piece. You can, instead of fastening off, you'll transition just from the head and then straight to the bodice, and then when you start the skirt, you skip like the first 2 rounds of the skirt and then just increase to make that, and then make the flounces separately and then sew them on. But so yeah, if I could do it all over again, I would do it into one piece. Now that I'm a little more experienced with that. Okay, so what comes next? Let's see, we have, okay, we're going to pin the head to the top of the bodice, and we are going to sew the head on. Alright, so, let's see, I think I'll stuff those yarn ends back in. Alright. Now we're going to make sure you're aligning. See that there's the mouth, should be in the center of the head. That's going to be right in line with between the flounces here, okay? You don't want it like so, like that. It look like she's kind of turning her head. I mean, you could do that, but if you want it looking straight ahead, then you're going to want to align